Welcome to Study Loop.
Okay, so question is to write a Python program for n-sided regular polygon, and we have to instantiate with three objects. One is default, which taking the number of side as 3, side length as 1, and coordinate at 0 and 0. Then second one is with two parameters with number of sides and side length and the coordinate, that is all default value. And third one with all the values assigned by the user, that is number of sides, length of the side, and the coordinate x, coordinate y. And we have to write these parameters in private variable. Okay, and we have to show the perimeter and area, the object, that is polygons perimeter and area. And we have to first form the UML diagram. So let's start by UML diagram. So question is to make a class, so let's make a class. Okay, the name of the class is regular polygon. Now it has attributes or variables and a method. So all the attributes here are private, so we'll have minus sign. So first one is number of side, so n. Then we have, so we can name it as n or number of side. Which is n, right? Similarly side, size, which is side, minus sign represent it is private. Next in is coordinate axis, and then we have x and y, that is our coordinate axis. Now here one thing must be remember, since we are using Python, so it does not have to explicitly mention the type of the variable, because if we are assigning this or instantiating with default case, let's say 3, so this is integer. If we are assigning this default case 1, then it is integer. If you are assigning with 0.0, so this is float, and also this is float. Okay, so now our methods, so we have two methods here, so three methods, or rather four. One is perimeter, then area, okay, and this must be shown, so we'll write plus sign. And then we have getter and setter, okay, that is also called as accessor and muted. So we'll name this as get make and set make. Okay, so now we are done with UML diagram. So let's move to a coding part. So first we'll import the math function. So importing math as m. Okay, okay, so now we'll create a class named regular polygon. So class regular polygon, and then we'll use a definition, that is a function which initializes our regular polygon with default value. So init here initializes the function, the self will be inside, so init will initialize the function. So here self, that we pass to access the values everywhere, and here n is 3, which is a number of side, the default value, side value is 1, and we have x coordinate as 0.0 here, and y is 0.0. Now one thing is to be remembered here, since the Python does not require any explicit mentioning of the function variable type, so here n equals to 3 directly assumes that it is integer. Similarly side 1 integer, and x 0.0 we are using 0.0, so it is float. Similarly y. Okay, so now we are assigning the value of n to our, here the underscore double underscore n represent that these values are private and it could not be accessed outside of our class method. Okay, so we just assign the values of number of sides, length of the side, x coordinate and y coordinate of a regular polygon. Great. So now moving ahead, Now we need to define another function, that is our set function, right? That is said here to write a setter. So setter is taking the values of our definition in it, right? And it is also taking the user's value that users wants to set to. So self, that, and the same functions will come here. So we just have to assign these values n side x. So here side is s. Okay, so this definition is done. So now next move to get make, that is our mutator. So mutator just gives the function's value or the variable's value. So get make, and here we'll just pass the self, which has our default case values 3 1 0 and 0, or whatever we have assigned later. Okay, so get self with only one parameter passed, and we'll return all the values that are self dot double underscore n, self dot double underscore side, and self dot double underscore x. Okay, here each value must be separated by comma. So let me complete this, and we'll separate it by comma. Okay, so we are done with getter and mutator. Now next is we have to define our perimeter function, right? So define get perimeter, and here we don't have to pass any parameter since we have all the components required to find the value of parameter. So we just call our init function's value, that is self, and return the parameter will be number of sides into length of the site. So self dot double underscore n, that is our number of sides, times the value of our side, which is self dot double underscore side. Okay, similarly we can call a method or define a method, that is our get area, and area's formula is given to us, and for this we need our math that we have imported there. So there, for using tan function we need this math, and similarly for pi value. Okay, so returning with the formula n times side square, so self dot n times side square, and dividing this value with 4 times m dot tan. We are using m to get the function from there what we have imported, so and m dot pi to get the value of pi, divided by n. Okay, so we are done with our class definition. So now we can call our class or instantiate our class by object 1. So defining object 1 as regular polygon with the default case, since we are not passing any value here, and printing the value as asked, the value of perimeter and area. So print perimeter of a regular polygon object 1 so this is, now to print the value we have to type convert it to string, so passing the string and the value of our get perimeter. So we'll call our function get perimeter using object 1, so object 1 dot get perimeter, and we don't have any parameter to pass. Similarly we have to convert the area value into string, so the area will be str So we are typecasting it to string and then passing the value, which is object1 dot get area. And again here we don't have to pass any parameter. Okay, so we are done with object1. Now object2 and object3 have same code, only the number of parameter is changing. So we can just copy this function and paste it 2 times. Okay, so first time we have object1, so we'll change it to object2, and we have to pass 2 parameters, that is 6 number of sides and 4 as length of the side. So 6 comma 4 will be a parameter for object 2. Okay, so now for object 3, we have to change the object number, and the object 3 has parameter 10 number of sides, 4 the length of the side, 5.6 as its coordinate axis in x, and y coordinate is 7.8. Okay, so changing the object name. So here we are done. We can run this function, and on running this Python code we get our value printed as perimeter of the polygon of object 1 is 3 and the area is 0.433 units square. Similarly for object 2 and object 3. Thank you.